Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with everything fat related. If that's something that interests you, please do subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you. Today I wanted to talk about fat TikTok again, or fat acceptance TikTok, because there is something that they do all the time that really bothers me for a lot of different reasons. But I find that whenever they are struggling in their arguments, they use race as a crutch. They use race as this sort of cope for their bad debate tactics or for the lack of arguments. And to me, it's something that is particularly disgusting because oftentimes they use race like a cherry on top of a sundae. That's kind of how they talk about it. Let's get into a couple examples I want to show you.
The way you can just tell that this creator thought they were doing something with this post. It's giving very much all body types matter. And like, skinny girls don't get the same justice as fat girls. What does that mean? Like, what are you trying to say? The bare minimum of representation in media, that's justice. Being denied healthcare, that's justice. I feel like what she's referring to is the movement to include fat people in conversations and in representation of body types. And the flaw in that is, of course, it doesn't exist for skinny people, because the representation already exists. Also, last time I checked, being literally underweight was the beauty standard in the early 2000s. Pretty sure she was around for that. I agree. All body shaming is bad. I think we can all agree on that. But just like with racism, denying the fact that fat people are treated worse in society, are literally oppressed, systemically oppressed, is not gonna get us anywhere. It's actually, we're actually moving backwards with that mindset. Okay? Yeah.
So it's actually quite different. Within the United States, there were laws, even somewhat recently under Jim Crow, that treated black people differently than white people. There were segregated spaces. There were places where you could go based on the color of your skin. There were things that you could do based on the color of your skin. That is systemic discrimination. Let's not cheapen what that actually means, because systemic discrimination is very serious when it is the system itself, meaning the actual government, the laws, when they are pushing you to do something or not do something based upon an immutable characteristic. That is systemic discrimination. That absolutely did happen with race. It did happen with gay people as well, although to a much, much lesser extent. But there was a time, not too long ago, when gay people could not marry. So that was an actual law that was in the way, or that it differed based on an immutable characteristic. And we don't need to get into women because there's plenty of things there as well, where there were actual laws that women could not do something or did not have access to something based on the actual government. When you try to cheapen those issues and say that the same thing is happening to fat people, you lose me. It is not the same. It has never been the same. The amount of hate that you experience when you are dealing with somebody who is racist, sexist, or homophobic, it is nothing compared to somebody who is being fatphobic. It's not even in the same way, like it's not even the same universe. Most of the time when fatphobic events happen, it's somebody being an asshole, or it's just awkward. It's really just awkward. Like, one time I was running and a guy called out, "Keep on running, fatty." Awkward. Cringe. Ew. Or I was at the grocery store and this lady judged me for the fact that I kept buying pizza every single day. She goes, "Oh, well, you really like that pizza, don't you?" Awkward. Scarring. Little, nyeh. Then there's this one time when I was working at the airport when a passenger he grabbed one of the girls and he said, "You need to lose weight." And I just said, "I know." And it was really awkward because I was in a work environment and I had to remain professional, even though that happened. But was it the same thing as somebody being racist? I haven't dealt with racism really, but I was around it. There was a moment when I was on the bus when I used to live in California. And this lady, this white lady, I guess she was kind of nuts or she was on the bus or something, and she just ranted and ranted and ranted about the bus driver who was Hispanic. And she went on and on and on, and you could hear the absolute vitriolic hate in her voice. She sounded like a demon. And I remember going home after that time on the bus, and I literally cried. People called, and the bus, they reported it, but even now thinking about it, just how much literal hatred this woman had, which I think she probably was nuts, but it was so disturbing that I actually cried when I got home because it was difficult to be around that. There was a time when I was hanging out with my best gay friend and we had our arms around each other because we're really lame and cheesy and gay and we just do stupid stuff like that all the time. And me and my best friend, we walked to his car and this lady, she flipped out on us and she was ranting and raving about us being gay. And it's the same, that level of hatred is there that is so deep-seated. It is not similar at all. The other thing that happened, one of my cousins, she worked in the kitchen. She has worked in restaurants. And she experienced very, very, very harsh sexism from the guys in the kitchen. They were absolutely disgusted that a woman was working in the kitchen. And it was just the level of hate. And then there was eventual even sexual harassment in that work environment. It is very, very intense. It is so much more than the fat phobic incidents I've been through. It is not even comparable. So I hate it when they compare those moments to fat phobia because most of the time there is not that level of hatred for fat people. It's just awkward. People are judging. People are being Karens. They're being cringe. But it's not that level of deep-seated hatred. It just isn't. And I don't like this comparison at all. Not to mention the fact that you cannot change those things about yourself. You can change your weight. You can change your weight. It is not similar. It's not at all similar. So they need to stop just using this because it cheapens the real, social or cultural problems that we have. It doesn't make this any better. Because yes, there are a lot of social and cultural issues in our country and in the world. People are very mean and toxic and everybody is holding each other back, including Fat Acceptance TikTok. But I do not like the way that they cheapen the realities of these things.
Fat shaming and skinny shaming are the same.
Actually, no, they're not. Fat people are denied jobs, proper medical care, health insurance, they're paid less, they don't have equal access to clothing, travel, many public spaces. Even the body mass index, the way that it discriminates against women, especially women of color, it was created for and based around white men.
Okay, so the body mass index, I am not a huge fan of it at all. I do think that it's important, but it's typically used for classification purposes. So what they use it for is differentiating between morbid obesity and obesity, or differentiating between obesity and overweight, or overweight and normal weight. That's really what it's about. Other than that, I don't think it's very useful. And these numbers are based on scientific studies and health outcome correlations, typically. In my experience, I have had times where I was losing weight. Like when I did keto, it did not work out. I will have to do a video about keto at some point. But I did keto and I lost 80 pounds. And I got beneath morbid obesity. And the numbers were real. Like my body shifted at that weight. It felt different. Now, of course, I did it horribly doing keto and I ended up putting all the weight back on. But the point is, they're not really, the BMI it's completely clinical. It's completely based on just health outcomes, and really that's it. It can't tell you how good you look. It can't tell you really a lot of information. I don't think it's the best. I personally think that body fat percentage is the best measure of health. It shows exactly where you're at, and they do have the categorization within each of the percentage points, and I'm pretty sure that will be accurate. I have not measured weight loss on that until this round, the final round. This is the boss level of my weight loss. So I have found the answer, which if you guys are interested in that, I do have a playlist on my channel where I talk about my thyroid journey, my health journey. But regardless, I can understand why they don't like the BMI, but why does it have to be about white men? Why? Why can't it just be, I don't like the BMI? I just gave you an argument about why the BMI is not ideal, whereas fat percentage will give you health and aesthetic feedback. So it's much better. Anyways, let's move on.
Like, fat phobia is literally rooted in anti-blackness. It's rooted in racism and sexism. Skinny shaming is not. How many
I don't like the assumption that Black people want to be associated with fatness. I don't think that's right. You know, I do not believe Black people are a monolith. If Black people individually want to identify with fatness, I don't think it's anybody's job to assert and push that to be anti-fat, quote unquote, is to be anti-Black. I don't think that that's very nice.
times have you seen marketing campaigns that are labeled, "Get fat quick, finally add those stubborn 30 pounds"? Show me where all the weight gain industries are. Show me all the damaging messages that say that skinny equals unworthy life or skinny equals ugly.
I would say look no further than Fat Talk. I think a lot of those messages are there. I would also say look no further than a McDonald's commercial, than all the different food commercials, the candy commercials. A lot of these candies and foods have very, very toxic additives that do directly correlate to weight gain. So when you look at these commercials, these ad campaigns, these things, yes, I understand. You know, I'm not anti-capitalist. I do support capitalism, but I do not support corporatism. And we are living under corporatism hardcore in the United States. One corporation washes the hand of the other. One corporation brainwashes you into wanting the McDonald's to gain the weight so that the other corporation can brainwash you into hating your body and give you a false solution for weight loss so that either way, your money is going to both. They help each other. And don't even get me started on the medical industry, but that's going to definitely have to be a different video for a different day. Okay, so the next topic I want to talk about is actually the way in which some Fat Talk people, they will utilize the issue of weight really just to push the rest of their political agenda.
Let's talk about the trendiness of flat stomachs again. I think a really important question to ask is, why do we view flat stomachs as attractive?
I think the better question is, why do you people keep trying to change people's attractions? What interests do you have in that?
Some people in the comments of my first video tried arguing that our obsession with flat stomachs is biological because they're more attractive, when in reality the actual reasons are a combination of fat phobia, Christianity, colonialism, anti-blackness, classism, and capitalism.
As you can see, she lumped it in with Christianity, so somehow there's Christianity thrown into the fatness debate. She lumped it in with colonialism, anti-blackness. Like, she's really throwing it all together. And of course capitalism as well, which it's like, okay, as opposed to what? Communism is pro-fat? I don't see that.
As a lot of us know, chubby stomachs were considered a symbol of beauty and wealth during the Renaissance. But why did this change? White colonists started pushing the idea that black people were inherently fat because they lacked self-control, which highlighted the adoption of fat phobia as a means of perpetuating racism and trying to justify slavery. As Sabrina Strings mentions, self-control and rationality were characteristics that were deemed integral to whiteness. Not to mention the idea of the Protestant work ethic.
What is she accomplishing here? She is trying to tell me that if I want to lose weight, if I want to improve my health, that I am racist. That's what she's trying to tell me. She's trying to tell me that I support slavery if I try to lose weight. That is the implication.
Anti-fat bias and weight stigma have historical roots in racism and white supremacy.
So here's another example of them using these arguments. And of course, the question then quickly becomes, and? So? Huh?
Every time I say this, I get some really weird comments. So just to be really clear, no, I've never heard anyone say you're racist for wanting to lose weight. What's meant by saying this is that throughout history, fat bodies were praised and even admired in various cultures and time periods.
And they still are today. Hello, I have a boyfriend. Am I like breaking the matrix right now? Like, they make me feel like a freak because I have somebody who is interested in me.
That is until the Enlightenment era, when fat bodies became associated with black bodies, especially the bodies of black women.
Yes, and society had a lot of beliefs at that time that we don't really have anymore. So why don't we, in a sort of uber progressive moment, why don't we divorce fatness from black people in this moment today? Why don't we acknowledge that people of all races can be fat? Why don't we acknowledge that people of both sexes can be fat? And we can get rid of this idea that it is rooted in black bodies and in black women especially. We don't need to do that anymore. I think we can let that go. And we can just address the reality of the situation. And we don't have to be racist about it. But for some reason you want to be. You insist on the two being connected. What I have an issue with is that you guys try to utilize this to shame people that do want to change. That's the issue I have. And that's mostly who I speak to on this channel. Is people who want to change and people who want to help people who want to change. That's who I'm talking to. And I don't want any of you guys feeling guilty or like you're doing something racist because you decide to make a change to improve your life. Because I don't care what they say, being morbidly obese is not fun. It's difficult. And it has nothing to do with society. I would not care if it was just that I was hated. I personally don't care that much about that. But my feet hurt. I have so many other issues health-wise that I'm not even going to get into on this video When you are morbidly obese, it is called that for a reason. And I don't like them making light of it. I don't like them using it to push a political agenda. And I especially do not like them combining it with someone's race. It's sick. You guys are sick. But with that, you guys, I'm going to go. If you like this, please do thumbs up the video. I hope to see you guys back soon. I love y'all. And I will see you guys later. Bye.